isn't there? I got hair in my mouth, fuck. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Film Fan Reviews. I'm Steve, and this is your first time here, then you probably don't know that this thing on my upper lip and on my chin is kinda new. Zoom in a little bit, but not too much. Hey, too much. But anyway, I decided to grow it out. Birthday's next week, decided to try it out, I guess. So let me know in the comments if you like it, I guess. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So today I went and saw a movie that I'm very excited to talk to you about. I think a lot of you are probably anticipating it. If you're not, I'd be shocked because it is the new Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. That is a long title, and there will definitely be an edit before I say that. Anyway, this movie, everyone's anticipating it probably because Nic Cage is an absolute legend. He's been one of my favorite actors since I was a kid. Gone with 60 Seconds, oddly enough, was one of my favorite movies as a kid. That and Nutty Professor 2 and Wild Wild West. And I stand by those movies to this day. I think they're all really fun, even Wild Wild West with its little tarantula, which oddly enough was supposed to be in a Nicolas Cage movie. Shouts out to you, Superman. Now yes, this is the movie that is Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage, which honestly is a pretty crazy thing, probably pretty hard to do. He even said in an interview that I watched that it's his hardest role to this day, and I believe it, because I mean, I'm doing this on here, and I'm playing my little personality up a little bit, because if there was anybody behind this camera, I'd probably start crying and forgetting everything I was trying to say. I can't do it! Big ups to you, Nick. You're great. Now, real quick, I do want to give a shout out to the writer and director, Tom Gormican, I believe is his name. Yeah, Tom Gormican. Everything he creates is so great. Like, I didn't know he created Ghosted, which is a sci-fi kind of comedy that was on Fox for a little bit with Craig Robinson. Very funny show. And he also directed That Awkward Moment, which if you haven't seen that, I recommend that movie very much so. It's a kind of like a male rom-com in a way, but very much still a rom-com. It has Zac Efron, Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan. All of them together have phenomenal chemistry, and they're really, really funny. So if you're down for that kind of movie, I would highly recommend that one as well. So yeah, Tom Gormican is fantastic, and this writing in this movie is no different because he did phenomenal. It was really fun to hear all the Nic Cage references, which I'm assuming Nick probably had a little bit to do with the writing. He references everything in Nic Cage's career from his early work like in Con Air and stuff, and he references a lot of the meme stuff that he became famous for from his roles in like Face Off and the different stills that have kind of made all the meme culture what it is today and kind of kept Nic Cage relevant while he's doing all of this crazy kind of stuff he's been doing for the past couple of years. I mean, I've still been watching and loving the movies like Mom and Dad and Willy's Wonderland and everything like that. Just more of his more off-the-wall type stuff. But if you haven't, please watch Pig. I might even do a video on that solo just because I love it so much. I watched it last year. So great. I think it's still on Hulu right now. Please check it out if you have the chance, because it's probably Nicolas Cage's best acting role before this one, because honestly, him playing Nic Cage was so funny, because he's definitely playing a heightened version of himself and kind of what we assume the internet kind of perceives his life as. He's very egotistical and playing up that he just loves himself so much, and it kind of plays into his home life as well as when he goes and visits Pedro Pascal's character, Javi, who is a very, very bad man that he doesn't really know about. He just knows that he's been down on his luck, he's not getting the roles he wants, and the one thing that he has going right now is this millionaire guy from, I can't remember what country he's actually from, but he travels there because the guy really wants to meet him, and it's like his birthday party or something like that, and Nic Cage says he'll be a guest for like $1 million, and stuff gets crazy. But the best part about this is Pedro Pascal playing Javi. So much fun. Pedro Pascal is fantastic in like everything he's in. I even watched an interview with him this morning. I watch a lot of interviews. He honestly seems like the most fun-loving guy and just silly and just fun to be around. And his character of Javi, honestly, Nic Cage is playing as himself. Honestly, Pedro Pascal is playing himself a little bit too, it seems like. Because if he's anything like he is in interviews especially, then yeah. Javi is a very fun-loving, he's just obsessed with Nicolas Cage. I think they showed a little bit in the trailer where he has like a memorabilia room of all of Nicolas Cage's stuff, and it's fun to watch Nick like reference all of his different roles and things like that, and It's a really interesting dynamic between the two of them. It's almost turns into like a buddy comedy, and it's really fun, and there are a lot of different elements to this movie that I'm not going to spoil. Yes, was some of it predictable, but was it supposed to be? Yes, because it's literally referencing Nic Cage movies, and it's kind of framed like a lot of the Nic Cage big blockbusters from back in like the 90s and early 2000s that he was in, which made it so much fun. Like, this movie, literally, I say it a lot on this channel, but this movie was such a fun time. And Nic Cage gave us a lot of his great acting in this movie still, too. Like, there are some dramatic moments where he has to get more serious, and he's also hilarious in a lot of moments that aren't necessarily him cracking jokes, but his timing and everything, it just works so well. And I would really like to see him do more comedy in the future, because he's done some in the past with like the Coen brothers and stuff. Raising Arizona is fantastic. And I'd like to see him do more stuff like this, because I think he had a fun time, at least it looked like it on screen, and it played off to the audience, because there were a lot of people laughing in the theater too with me. Like, sometimes I was the only one laughing at references that maybe were a little too deep cut for the other people in the theater, but I had a ball with this movie. Is it the funniest movie of all time? No. Were Tiffany Haddish and Ike Barinholtz a little bit of a disappointment? Because usually I find them a lot funnier, and I feel like they kind of held back a little bit or something in this movie. Like, I wanted to see more of them and kind of lean into more of the jokes about Nic Cage, but the time they had was funny. But some of Tiffany Haddish, I just wish she could have been a little bit funnier, where I've seen her be hilarious in a lot of other things. So that was my only really downfall to the whole movie, and it's not really that detrimental at all. Now, like I said, the Nic Cage and Pedro Pascal chemistry just works so well. They're so funny together. Like, Pedro really plays up that he's so obsessed with Nic Cage, and Nic Cage is also so obsessed with himself that they just get along so well, and their comedy and the hijinks they get into just has you cracking up the whole time. Like, if I could just be with them for a day, I would just be in the back seat just like this. Yo, that was crazy. I love you guys. You love me, right?
I love you! I love you!
Overall, I had a blast with this movie. And on my 5-star rating scale, I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I really, really liked this movie. I plan on rewatching it, probably in the theater, because my brothers also want to see it, so it might even change on a rewatch. It kind of sits in between a 4 and a 5 for me. It might even be a 4.5, but I can't wait to rewatch it and just see how many references and how many jokes I may have missed the first time. So if you think this sounds cool, go check it out and let me know what you think of this movie and what's your favorite Nic Cage movie. I want to talk about Nic Cage on the comments, so please comment on this video, share it with your friends who are Nic Cage fans or thinking about going to see a movie this weekend. It might be the one for them. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Letterboxd if you want to. It's where you hear my thoughts more frequent, and I write up little reviews on there, so follow me on there. Follow me on my social medias if you want, and I will see you next time. We're upgrading shit. I got a microphone, my sound recorder. Oh, my bad. Leprechaun wanted to give his ranking. What do you think, Leprechaun? You can see the ripped microphone, but he said it's a 5 out of 5. He loved it, and he wasn't even there. He just watched the trailer on the TV before I recorded it, so this man knows what he's talking about, so go see the movie. Little baby Grogu back there. But yeah, go see it, and I will see you next time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. That might make the cut if it was that good. We'll see.